It's been 4 years since Ben Tennyson hung up the Omnitrix to live his life as a normal high school boy, leaving his adventurous Ben 10 days behind. Little did he know that his hero life is about to begin again. One day, after a football match, Ben visits his grandpa Max at the Rustbuck 2 after a football match where he's suddenly attacked by a mysterious alien. Ben, who has now become adept at handling himself, manages to defeat the alien, causing it to retreat. He then quickly operates the RV's controls and finds a beacon with Max's video message encoded on it. Max informs Ben that there has been new alien activity on Earth and that he has the Omnitrix. Ben quickly rushes to his home and finds the Omnitrix still in his shoebox. Confused by Max's claim of having the Omnitrix,
"What are you trying to tell me, Grandpa?"
he quickly meets up with Gwen, explaining the situation to her. Right at that moment, Labrid, an alien plumber, approaches them, demanding to hand over the Omnitrix, but decides to team up with them and stop the Forever Knights from purchasing alien tech upon finding that they are Max's grandkids. After reaching the exchange site, Ben is surprised to see that the Knights are making a deal with Kevin, his old enemy. Seeing that they are exchanging level 5 weapons, Labrid intervenes. While both Gwen and Labrid fight the Knights, Ben puts the Omnitrix back on and tries to use it, but it fails to boot up. After several tries, the Omnitrix suddenly changes its shape, revealing a whole host of new aliens. Ben excitedly changes into Swampfire for the first time and takes out Kevin and the Knights, who just steal the weapons and run away. Seeing that the Knights have double-crossed him, Kevin decides to team up with them and takes them to the Knights' base. They quickly enter the base and start looking for the weapons, but accidentally end up waking a giant mechanical dragon. Season 1, Episode 2. The dragon's roar alert the Knights as well. While group engage in combat with Knights, Ben changes into Echo for the first time and defeats the dragon. After taking care of the Knights, they gather up all the weapons and destroy them. Just when they're about to leave, they find out that Labrid has been fatally wounded. As he takes his last breath, he tells Ben that Max was onto something big before it disappeared and that the Earth is in danger. He further tells Ben to believe in himself as he knows that he can save the Earth. Gwen uses her powers to locate the source of the alien weapons while leading Kevin and Ben to an abandoned mineshaft, teaming with DNA aliens. They enter the mines and find a giant mothership loaded with weapons. As they infiltrate the ship and start destroying the weapons, the aliens attack them, but Ben transforms into Humongosaur and defeats them and comes face to face against a hybrid. As Kevin and Gwen tries to escape, Ben tries to fight the hybrid but is easily overpowered and gets thrown out of the ship. The hybrid then proceeds to start the mothership and use its weapons to destroy life within 5 miles of him. Fearing that a small town next to the mines is about to be destroyed, Ben clings to the ship and damages its engine, causing it to stray off course and crash. After the dust settles down, Kevin tells that he will be joining them until the end. Season 1, Episode 6. Gwen and Ben ask Kevin for a ride to help them find Gwen's brother Ken, whose car broke down in Santa Mira. Upon reaching the town, they discover that all its inhabitants are DNA aliens. After quickly defeating them, Gwen finds a piece of Ken's clothing and uses it to track Ken to a hatchery where the DNA aliens are farming parasites called Xenonites that can change humans to DNA aliens. They quickly make their way into the hatchery, defeating aliens along the way, until Gwen notices that one of them is actually Ken, who still hasn't fully changed into a DNA alien. Ben quickly uses the Omnitrix to repair Ken's DNA and removes the parasite from him. As Ken catches his bearings, he tells him that he handed Max over to the aliens and quickly leads them to where Max is tied up. They barely have time to chat when they hear a hybrid commanding the DNA aliens to initiate the plan. Max tells them to go outside and destroy the Xenonites while he finds the egg machine. After making quick work of the DNA aliens, the 4 of them return to Max and see that he's locked into a battle with a hybrid. Max looks over to Ben and tells him that it's up to him now to protect Earth. As Gwen draws a shield around everyone, Max dismantles a null void projector and uses it like a hand grenade to throw everyone, including himself, into the null void. Season 1, Episode 10. Professor Paradox was working on a time machine 50 years ago, along with his assistant Hugo at Area 51, when things went terribly wrong and he got thrown into an event horizon. But Gwen and Kevin visit an abandoned military base after hearing of a disturbance in the area. Upon entering the base, they find a trans-dimensional monster roaming the area. They quickly escape the path of monster and flee to the library, where they find out about the past experiments. After visiting the lab, where the time machine disaster took place, they all run into Professor Paradox, who hasn't aged a single day. Kevin tries to catch Paradox, but he quickly disappears and pops up at a different location. After grabbing their attention, Paradox explains to them about the trans-dimensional monster, telling them that it'll cause everything it touches to die of old age, and shows them a view of a barren Earth in the distant future. As they return back to their original time, Ben tells Paradox to keep the monster occupied and take them back to when the accident happened. Paradox grabs onto the monster and teleports them back in time. Ben, Gwen, and Kevin quickly rush to the experiment site and see Paradox being sucked into the event horizon, while Hugo clung on for his dear life. Ben quickly transforms into Humongosaur and grabs him, making the monster outside revert back to Hugo. Upon returning, they notice an old Hugo waiting for them, telling them that he led a good and normal life after what happened 50 years ago. After finally reuniting with his assistant, Paradox invites him to time travel with him and takes him away. Season 1, Episode 13. A starship drops off an incursion named Frolic, who informs Commander Raph that Princess Atia went missing during an ambush by the bounty hunter 77. After being briefed about the situation, Emperor Melius threatens to kill Raph if he fails to find his daughter quickly. Fearing for his life, Raph seeks help from Ben, Gwen, and Kevin, who agree to assist him. Using Gwen's tracking abilities, they locate Atia near a dam on Earth. As they try to rescue her, 77 blows up the dam, endangering Atia. Ben transforms into Alienex, a powerful celestial sapien, and uses his powers to revert time, fixing the dam but gets frozen in place shortly afterward. Ben learns that he must convince the conflicting personalities with Alienex, Vilgax, and Serena to agree on a course of action, or else he will be stuck there for eternity. Raph teleports Gwen and Kevin to Melius, who demonstrates the destructive power of a weapon and blows up Pluto. Ben, seeing that his friends are in danger, manages to make Vilgax and Serena agree to make him leave their plane of existence. Meanwhile, Gwen, Kevin, and Atia try to make a run for it, but quickly get surrounded by incursions. Atia ultimately betrays 77 and takes control of the Conquest Ray. She imprisons Melius and the others, but Ben breaks free from Alienex and transforms into Swampfire to defeat 77 in the incursions. Melius arrives and forces Atia to surrender, telling her that he's impressed, but today is not the day. She overthrows him. Atia is imprisoned alongside her mother, while Melius allows Ben's team to return to Earth unharmed. Ben vows never to use Alienex's power again, despite it being the most powerful alien in his arsenal. After all, the story would be too short if he knew how to use it properly. Season 2, Episode 2. While battling a hybrid commander, Kevin accidentally sends Ben and the commander to the desert planet Turoost through a malfunctioning teleporter pod, stranding them. They both are instantly attacked by a Dravik, a giant desert centipede, but with the combined efforts of Echo's clones and the hybrid's quills, they manage to subdue the creature. Ben realizes they need to work together to survive. However, the hybrid despises Ben's presence due to his perceived filthiness. As they traverse the harsh environment, the hybrid collapses from the heat, prompting Ben to transform into Big Chill to cool him down. However, the hybrid rejects the help. Later, as Ben seeks water, he's trapped by another Dravik. The hybrid reluctantly aids Ben and defeats it. Continuing their journey, they encounter Dasipodidae swarms. Ben transforms into Swampfire to fight them off, causing the hybrid to reach a compromise and face the danger together. Night falls, they decide to camp. Ben attempts to bond with the hybrid Rainrasig III and tells him that he'll call him Rainy. However, their differing beliefs and species further strain their relationship. Rainy protects Ben from an attacking creature, losing his hand in the process. With Swampfire's help, Ben reattaches his hand. Despite their conflicts, Ben continues to believe in Rainy's potential to change. The next day, they finally reach the teleporter pod, but Rainy chooses to stay behind, embracing his hybrid beliefs of purity and exiling himself. Later, Ben reunites with Gwen and Kevin, unsure if the hybrid will ever return. Season 2, Episode 3. The Forever Knights are chased by Humongosaur and seek refuge in their castle, but he breaks in and demands to know the whereabouts of Ben Tennyson. Gwen and Kevin track Ben to the castle, but find it destroyed and notice Ben flying away his jet tray. As they return home, they found out that Ben has been studying with Julie for a test. Evil twin moment. Ben realizes that Julie has eaten all the chili fries and decides to go to Burger Shack to get more. While Kevin and Gwen wait outside, they notice Ben exit the building and transform into Big Chill before flying away. They quickly start chasing him, leaving the original Ben behind. The second Ben attacks yet another Forever Night castle, prompting Kevin and Gwen to assist in the battle. After the victory, they question the second Ben, who suddenly burps and transforms back into his normal form, claiming to be the real Ben. However, the real arrives shortly afterward, startling Gwen and Kevin. The second Ben reveals himself to be Albedo, a Galvan who claims to be the builder of the Omnitrix and demands its return. Ben is suspicious of Albedo's claims and refuses to give him the Omnitrix. Albedo reveals he's stuck in Ben's human body due to DNA fusion and attempts to take Ben by force. They engage in a fight, but Albedo manages to escape with Ben while Gwen tracks Albedo to a computer factory. Albedo tricks Gwen and Kevin by transforming into goop. As Ben arrives, Albedo traps them in a packing foam. Ben then transforms into various aliens to battle Albedo, but Albedo uses his Omnitrix to keep up with him. Ben transforms back into his human form just as Albedo is about to strike him, causing their Omnitrixes to link, damaging Albedo's human form. Azimuth, the creator of the Omnitrix, appears and reveals that Albedo was his assistant who created an inferior copy. Azimuth disables Albedo's Omnitrix as punishment and imprisons him, while Ben takes a test at school and receives a C+. On the other hand, Albedo, imprisoned and filled with rage, vows to make Ben pay for his actions. Season 2, Episode 12. The hybrid invasion of Galvan Prime begins while Paradox convinces Azimuth to seek help from Ben as he's the universe's only hope. Meanwhile on Earth, Ben is interrupted during football practice as Paradox and Azimuth appear to recruit him. As Gwen, Kevin, and Paradox go on a hunt to recruit the Plumber's kids, including Alan, Cooper, and Michael and their team, Azimuth at Mr. Smoothie discloses the Omnitrix's true purpose to Ben, revealing its ability to restore life to species destroyed by the hybrid. Azimuth initially insists that Ben should not participate in the final battle to protect the Omnitrix, but Ben adamantly refuses. As a result, Azimuth activates the Omnitrix's master control, granting Ben access to all alien forms on voice command. The team, including Julie with Chip in his battleship form, heads to La Soledad, where the hybrid jump gate is location. They quickly enter their base and start to fight their way to the jump gate. During the battle, Ben as Cannonball encounters Michael, who attempts to drain the life force of DNA aliens. Ben intervenes, reminding Michael that the DNA aliens are humans under alien control. He then uses the Omnitrix to revert the DNA aliens to their human forms, depleting the Omnitrix's power. Cooper, after seeing Ben's DNA repair, transforms his robot suit into DNA repair guns to assist in the fight. They finally reach the jump gate and try to destroy it, but it seems indestructible. The jump gate suddenly activates, severely injuring Ben and making him unconscious. While in space, hundreds of hybrid ships start entering Earth. Season 2, Episode 13. Upon regaining consciousness, Ben discovers that the hybrid invasion has already begun. He gathers his teammates and devises a plan to capture the hybrid commander to force them to retreat. They fight their way to the hybrid control tower, where Ben, as Swampfire, demands the commander to call off the attack. However, the commander reveals that only the hybrid supreme has the authority to do so. Gwen, in her Anodite form, defeats a hybrid attacking Kevin and contemplates stopping the invasion alone. Kevin convinces her not to lose her humanity and to trust Ben to find another solution. The plumbers, helpers, and Max return from the Null Void to aid them in defeating the DNA aliens. With the hybrid commander captured, Ben, Gwen, Kevin, and Azimuth board ship and head toward the jump gate to confront the hybrid supreme. They pass through the gate and crash land on the planet of Augustaka, where they are captured by the hybrid. In the hybrid dungeon, Ben transforms into Humongosaur and frees the team. They make their way to the chamber of the hybrid council, where Azimuth reveals the genetic damage and sterility issues within the hybrid species. Ben uses the Omnitrix to repair the genetic damage by fusing the DNA of every hybrid with species from the Omnitrix. The hybrid council is initially horrified, but Rainey appears and convinces the hybrid supreme that their new impurity is not undesirable. The hybrid council elects Rainey as the new hybrid supreme, who calls off the invasion of Earth and orders the hybrid fleet to return. As the fleet leaves Earth and everyone returns to their normal lives, the Omnitrix reboots, locking the master control again, but unlocking new aliens for Ben to use. Vilgax Vengeance Arc. Season 3, Episode 1. Gwen and Kevin are struggling to fight against the snake-like alien serpent, frustrated that Ben is not yet there. Meanwhile, Ben is at home watching TV and has completely forgotten about the mission. Gwen calls Ben, urging him to come to the fight. Ben then transforms into Jet Ray and flies to the scene, eventually transforming into Cannonball to defeat Serpent. After the battle, Gwen angrily confronts Ben for not being there on time and storms off with Kevin. Meanwhile, Max, along with the plumber's helpers, picks up an alarm and drives to a park where they find Siphon, Vilgax's right hand, preparing a machine for Vilgax to teleport to Earth. Siphon warns them not to interfere and activates a force field around the park. Vilgax arrives and challenges Ben to a Conqueror's challenge with the Earth as a prize. Max and the plumber's helpers try to fight Vilgax but are defeated. Vilgax threatens to destroy the Earth if Ben does not accept his challenge. At Mr. Smoothie, Ben, Gwen, and Kevin argue about Ben's overconfidence when Max calls Ben and informs him about Vilgax's return. Vilgax really needs a new hobby. Before Ben goes into the fight, Kevin tries to hack the Omnitrix to re-unlock the Master Control, but Gwen doubts his success.
I don't think this is such a good idea.
Kevin briefly transforms the Omnitrix into its old form but is interrupted by Azimuth, who warns Ben against tampering with the Omnitrix. Ben, however, still decides to go ahead, but the Omnitrix overloads, causing an explosion that destroys Kevin's garage. Season 3, Episode 2. After the explosion, Gwen used her Mana Shield to protect herself, discovers that Chromastone, Spider Monkey, and Goop have escaped from the Omnitrix, and Kevin has mutated and cannot transform back to normal. Azimuth appears, enraged by what Ben has just done. He warns Ben that he must recapture his alien transformations within 24 hours before they disappear forever. The team uses their badges to track the Omnitrix symbols and locates Chromastone on a pier. Kevin tries to fight Chromastone but is defeated. Ben transforms into Mark Upchuck and battles Chromastone until Kevin manages to subdue him. They then find Spider Monkey in a forest where Gwen is trapped in a giant web. Ben transforms into Brainstorm, fights Spider Monkey, and captures him. They then proceed to a sewer where they confront Goop. Ben transforms into Swampfire, but Goop escapes and causes an explosion. They track Waybag but realize they don't have enough time to capture him and get to Ben's battle with Vilgax. Max offers to fight Vilgax in Ben's place, but Ben refuses. Ben transforms into Jet Ray to face Vilgax. Unfortunately, Vilgax proves to be a formidable opponent and swiftly overcomes Jet Ray. Determined to turn the tide, Ben swiftly switches to his Big Chill form, successfully freezing Vilgax. However, Vilgax manages to break free from the icy grasp and evade capture. Not one to give up, Ben's next transformation is into Humongousaur, hoping to overpower Vilgax. Regrettably, Vilgax proves to be too strong, overpowering Ben even in his mighty Humongousaur form. Gwen and Kevin arrive with Waybag, and Ben attempts to transform but instead becomes Chromastone instead. Chromastone fights Vilgax but is shattered and destroyed when Vilgax absorbs his energy. However, Chromastone's remains regenerate into Diamond Head, who defeats Vilgax. As per the Challenger's contract, Vilgax and his fleet leave Earth, pledging to never attack again. Max tells Ben that he doesn't have to worry as he blocked out the broadcast, protecting his identity. Season 3, Episode 19. Yax, Azimuth's assistant, informs him that Albedo has stolen Azimuth's incomplete Ultimatrix and plans to reset it using the original Omnitrix. Albedo, accompanied by Vilgax, works on completing the Ultimatrix but realizes he needs the original Omnitrix to synchronize them. Vilgax agrees to help Albedo retrieve the Omnitrix from Ben, telling him he only wants Ben dead. Gwen and Kevin pilot ship to rescue Ben from Crop, a bounty hunter, but the ship is damaged in an asteroid field. Ben transforms into Big Chill to fight Crab but fails to save the ship. Gwen creates a Mana Shield but it eventually collapses, and Ben instructs them to flee while he stays behind. However, Gwen and Kevin reveal they rescue Crab, leaving Ben feeling guilty. Later that day, Kevin, after dropping Gwen off at Julie's house, decides to go for a ride since he's bored with Ben and encounters Albedo, who defeats him and takes him captive. Gwen realizes Kevin is missing and finds his damaged car, recovering a shard of Diamond Head from it. She's then attacked by Albedo as Swampfire and rendered unconscious. Max, after barely making his own escape, warns Ben about Albedo's actions, and Albedo appears on TV, revealing his capture of Gwen and Kevin. Despite Max's warning, Ben rushes to confront Albedo. Ben and Albedo transform into Humongousaur and engage in battle. But Albedo's Ultimatrix can access an evolved alien forms and uses Ultimate Humongousaur and easily defeats Ben. Vilgax appears with an army of synthetic voids and offers a trade, the Omnitrix for the lives of Gwen and Kevin. Ben, prioritizing his friend's safety, gives up the Omnitrix to Vilgax. Season 3, Episode 20. Max suddenly intervenes and rescues Gwen and Kevin, giving Gwen her old spellbook and telling her to teleport out of there. After they get away, Albedo demands the Omnitrix from Vilgax, but Vilgax refuses and transforms his bioids into an army of Humongousaur to attack Albedo. Albedo is eventually overwhelmed and captured by Vilgax. Ben, after thinking things through, decides to go back and fight Vilgax. Gwen teleports everyone onto Vilgax's ship to confront him with his army of transformed bioids. Ben orders Vilgax to surrender the Omnitrix, but he refuses, so Ben activates the Omnitrix's self-destruct. The Omnitrix explodes, incapacitating Vilgax and deactivating the bioids. As the team recovers, Kevin reverts to his human form, and Gwen kisses him in joy. Vilgax regains consciousness and causes the ship to head toward Bellwood. Kevin and Max fight Vilgax, while Ben offers Albedo his freedom in exchange for the Ultimatrix. As Albedo refuses, Ben threatens to self-destruct the Ultimatrix, leading Albedo to surrender it. Ben, using the Ultimatrix, transforms into Ultimate Swampfire and fights Vilgax alongside Kevin. Gwen and Max try to steer the ship away from Bellwood, but can't prevent it from crashing into the ocean. Vilgax transforms into a monstrous form and attacks Ultimate Swampfire, but Ben escapes by transforming into Jetray. Afterward, he rejoins the rest of the group. Together, they witness the ship's fiery demise, pledging to overcome Vilgax should he dare to resurface. And that concludes our journey through the captivating world of Ben 10 Alien Force. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon for similar content.